This is a continuation of my senior recital portion of the College Grad Reflections. So this episode will focus on the performance day. So, April 19, 2017 came, and it was an overcast day. Temperatures were in the lower 60s, and it was clear as day what every moment was like on April 19th. Like, I literally remembered every single detail of that day and what exactly I did. So on the day of the performance, I resisted the urge to not overthink the parts of the piece where I'm shaky. I needed to conserve as much energy as I could. And so, throughout the late morning into the afternoon, my parents went to pick up cookies, vegetable platters, drinks, and other snacks at Costco for the light reception afterwards. The hours leading up to this recital had to have been the slowest. You see, for some people, their senior recital takes place in the afternoon, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, but this was at 7:30, so I had to wait pretty much a whole day before I could start getting this over with. And my mind was playing tug-of-war between, yes, I'm glad that time is slow so that I can wait further, I can stall, and no, time is going too slow, I just want to get this over with. In the weeks leading up to the recital, I took up watching the former drama JAG. For those of you who don't know JAG, it's a military drama that ran from 1995 to 2005 on NBC for its first season and CBS for the rest. My dad and my late grandfather used to watch it, and I vaguely remember seeing that iconic intro with that patriotic theme. I probably had to have been 3 years old. Since I remembered that where my parents watched the show, there used to be carpet in like this little living room area, and so the memories of that show go way back, long time ago, almost 20 years. Well, anyway, I decided to watch the show again, this time as a 22-year-old, and I bought the first season on DVD, and I watched a couple of episodes to pass the time. And then I pretty much put the opening theme on repeat just because it sounds so patriotic and uplifting and just gives me that wave of positivity. And so we fast forward to 5:30 and I arrived at the church and I met up with Clarence. To pass the time before my church's music director arrived to open up the doors of the church, he helped me take some photos. Once inside, I did one more run-through of my encore with the microphone for the singers. Then my piano professor came after and was very impressed at the venue of choice. And as the clock ticked closer to 7:30 p.m., more and more people started showing up, including several of my Kane Music Department classmates, family from out of town, parishioners, which included my friends Tommy, Crystal, and Amanda. And if you three are watching, just so you know, you've just been mentioned, you've just had a shout out on GameboyTV. And even one of the parish priests showed up as part of the audience. So it was a well-represented crowd with people of all ages and different backgrounds. And I'd say we'd had about 50 people, which was, the amount that I expected. I made almost 70 programs, so there was a lot of programs to spare, so which is good. We don't ever want to max out of programs and have no one for anybody else who would come later. So at 10 minutes before the recital, I had a deep motivational talk with Nina, who is the person reading for the recital, and she is also one of the cantors at my church, and she and I go back to 2011, when I was a senior in high school. So throughout the last 6 years, she has seen me grow as a person and as a musician. And soon enough, 7:30 came. Oddly enough, I wasn't nervous at all. Just butterflies in my stomach, just exciting and itching to get out there and just, have fun. And I told myself, hey, I've done this many times before. I got this in the bag, So before I came out, Mrs. Williamson welcomed the crowd, and affirmated me for a little while, telling the crowd of all my various accomplishments from high school to now. I took one giant deep breath, gathered up every last ounce of cool, and I said to myself, "It's crunch time." When Mrs. Williamson said, "And now, please welcome Mark Joseph." Actually, she didn't say that. She had to say, I had to edit that part because I didn't, like I said, I don't really want to mention my last name, but, you know, nothing wrong with paraphrasing there. So, Mrs. Williams said, "And now, please welcome Mark Joseph." And out I went to a raucous applause. Chest up, spirits up. When you're performing at a recital, especially when it's a recital in which you're the main star, it's very important to get in the zone. That mind frame that it's just you, the piano, your music, and your passion, all out there on the line. There's no time to look in the audience. You just have to feel the energy of the crowd of supporters. If you're in the zone, then you're doing it right. And unfortunately, it comes at the expense of not being able to savor the moment right after you perform a piece or section with pieces. Your mind has to quickly shift ahead. You can't look back. It's just like driving on the road. You just have to always be looking ahead and not thinking about what just happened a second ago. So the Sonatina in C major by Kuhlau went really smoothly, which was a relief since I needed to nail that piece on the first try. You know, it was that piece that took everybody's attention just because it's so exciting and so filled with so much adrenaline. So when it was Ari's turn to perform alongside, we actually took longer than expected because she needed extra time to tune. We performed the Sonata in E minor by Benedetto Marcello with just one minor glitch in the middle, but otherwise no mishaps. Then the two of us performed Gounod's Ave Maria, which did put chills in the audience and maybe shed a tear or two. And by that point, 20 minutes have passed, and it was time to move on to Tchaikovsky. This portion was the longest portion of the recital, and it took about 12 to 13 minutes to complete. Those pieces, representing the months of March, October, and May, really fit the vibe of the church. May was a little shaky, especially the fast section, but nobody noticed. The next three pieces of the late romantic / early contemporary era came and gone, just like that. The prelude for the left hand alone was the big winner of that section. Finally, we ended with the Three Fantastic Dances by Shostakovich. At that point, it had to have been about maybe 8:20 p.m., and I was ready to be done. But I did not want to let my guard down. That last section, the Polka Allegretto, was like running the last 100 meters of a cross-country race. So the first movement was solid. The waltz had a little bit of a glitch, but I kept going. And with that last section, all my adrenaline poured out. Like the last gasp of air, and just to try and make it above the surface of the water, just so that you can't drown. That's how it felt like. And light at the end of the tunnel was spotted the moment that I finished that last note. Whew. So time for the cool down. I immediately segged right into Bring Him Home from Les Mis, sung by Clarence. And it's an appropriate song that has lyrics that represent prayer and safety. A subject appropriate for your final year of college. Then Caitlin came up and sang I'm Not Afraid of Anything by Jason Robert Brown. And just by looking at the title, I couldn't have picked a more perfect song to cap off an amazing night and an unforgettable night. And I did something very clever at the very end of I'm Not Afraid of Anything. I actually ended the song by throwing the 1-up sound effect from Super Mario. When I went back to my resting area at the back of the church, I channeled out my inner child, and man, was I so excited and relieved that it was over. We had a reception downstairs, and let me tell you, a funny story happened. So recently, my church renovated on one of its entrances, which included a new elevator. So as people were filing out and going downstairs, I decided to go into the elevator, and I yell out emphatically, "I don't deserve the stairs, I deserve the elevator!" So my friends Asia, Vinique, Edsel, and Patrick Salas rode down the elevator with me, but when we got to the basement level, where the entrance to the hall was, the door was locked. There was an exit door to the parking lot, but that too was also locked. Oh, by the way, that door that I said was locked, the door going into the hall was locked. So there's two doors. There's the door leading to the outside, and then there's the door leading to the hall where we have that light reception. And that threw all of us into a frenzy, and I said to Pat Salas, "Oh no! We went to the wrong floor! We're trapped! Please get us back up to the first floor." But fortunately, Tommy opened the door, and so that was quite a relief. So you can tell everyone loved the food. And I spiced things up a little by putting Super Mario coasters, because as you know, you can't have a Mark Joseph recital without Nintendo-fying it one way or another. Anyway, apart from birthdays, this day was one of those days where all the people who came to support became my paparazzi. There were so many people who wanted my picture, I barely had time to eat anything. We took a lot of poses outside in the area, in the brick-walled area, where we got momentarily trapped, and that brick wall was very perfect for a background. I'm never known to be a selfie kind of guy, but I broke that rule that night, and I took a very rare selfie with my friend Amanda and her sister Crystal and her friend Elizabeth. And I was so humbled to hear all the nice things that people said about the recital. From the setup to the execution. One other professor, who was the choir director at Kane, really liked the venue. He thought that the church made me feel at ease. He also liked how the piano was so powerful and resonated around the sanctuary. Mrs. Williamson was stunned at how I was able to pull off that prelude for the left hand alone piece. In fact, many people thought that that was the highlight of the entire recital. Amanda and Crystal were mesmerized by the polka movement of the three fantastic dances. Another person also complimented me on how well planned the recital was given, given that this was in a church well away from Kane. After all was said and done, I said to myself, did that really just happen? How am I still alive? A senior recital goes by really fast. It's a one-shot deal, and that's it. What happened, happened, and you can't undo or have any regrets about it. It's never perfect. No performance is ever perfect. Could I have played the pieces better? Yes. Could I have prepared better? Of course. But was I satisfied with how it turned out? Absolutely. So I know that this was a long video, but let me take the time to thank everyone who came to my senior recital and for supporting me throughout these last 5 years of college. My mother, my father, professors, former teachers, friends, and colleagues. You know who you guys are. I wouldn't be the person who I am today without your constant love and support. So, thank you for watching the College Grad Reflections on GameboyTV. And coming up next, the series finale. The College Grad Reflections, where I reflect on graduation. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys later.